Thank you. We'll go ahead and start this meeting for December 17th, 2014, Oceanside City Council, Harbor District, and CDC. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bruce?
Here.
Councilmember Kern?
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Here.
Councilmember Feller?
Here.
And Deputy Mayor Lowry is here.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll pass it on to the city attorney, please. Close session.
Council will meet in closed session to discuss item 1 on the closed session agenda, conference with labor negotiator involving the Oceanside Police Officers Association. Item 2A, conference with legal counsel on existing litigation in the matter of Allred versus City of Oceanside, San Diegans for Open Government versus City et al., and the City of El Centro et al. Versus David Lanier.
Thank you. Adjourn to closed session, please.
Afternoon.
Hey, there you go. That's good. As long as Santa Claus is keeping the portfolio in good shape, that's all we care about, right? That's the biggest. That's good. Did you hear Janet Yellen, who was speaking earlier today, about like they're not using the term quantitative easing? Yeah, it's like gone, and she said that interest rates are going to remain low pretty much for the foreseeable future. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of balancing. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. The whole issue with Russia was pretty strange, seeing the ruble go from half of its value since the beginning of the year. No, there'd be riots on the street. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really incredible. Yeah, the oil prices and yeah, well, they don't have much going on besides oil. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not much. I think they'll be drinking a lot more now with how depressed they are over there, but. Oh yeah, well he already is a little bit off of this rock. We're going to see him go even more so. Especially with oil prices, though, with OPEC, they just kind of flood the market because of all the fracking happening in America. So it's like if they were having more production in the States, it's just that now it's becoming, because they're OPEC flooding the market, it's like making it almost harder for our companies to make money producing oil. Yeah, but it's hard to have a lot of compassion. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not to worry about them, that's for sure. No, not yet. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, forget the $60 barrel, or $60 barrel. Maybe that'll end up trickling upwards to the is it 54? Wow, I didn't realize it had gone below 60 yet. No way. Wow, that's fantastic.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get started here. Go ahead and open this council meeting of December 17, 2014, Oceanside City Council, Harbor District, and CDC. With that, a roll call, please.
Mayor Wood?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Lowry?
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Here.
Councilmember Curran?
Here.
Councilmember Feller? Here.
Thank you. With that, we go ahead and, let me stop it. For your information, item number 18 has been, I'll pull it from the council agenda. You'll make notification at the second half. I appreciate it. And with that, I go forward with the consent calendar when you get a chance.
Yes, consent calendar items 3 through 15.
Move approval.
Have a second?
I'm going to pull item 8, 10, and 11.
You get a second for the calendar?
Not yet.
Thank you very much. Item number 8 for the city councilman public.
Vote on that. Vote on the remaining.
Well, I was going to ask any public on any of these.
Yeah, actually, item number 8, Mr. Knott is going to speak if it was...
Okay, so for the remaining balance, please vote. Now back to it when you get a chance. Go with 8.
Motion approved 5-0. Item number 8 is approval to accept $499,905 in grant funds from the County of San Diego Vector Habitat Remediation Program, awarded to the city for the Loma Alta Slough project. Approval to appropriate these funds to the Vector Habitat Remediation account, and authorization for the city manager to execute the grant agreement and all associated grant documents.
Any public on that? If you have one?
Yes, Mr. Knott.
Mayor, Council, Jimmy Knott, 127 Cherry Lane, and at this time I'm representing my park, Los Alina Mobile Village. We have had a number of the residents of my park that have been, shall I say, attacked by mosquitoes down in our area. And it has been a common complaint. We've had vector control from the county come out on a couple occasions. They've seen on our side of the creek there seems to be no problem. So they have had to try to trace down the problem and have to basically come up with no solutions until I guess they've talked with staff. And staff in the county has come up with a solution apparently. And I endorse their solution. And I hope you go forward with this suggestion and this implementation in order to take and do away with this problem that they're taking and invading our community. Thank you.
No further public on the side.
Thank you. Mr. Feller?
Thank you. I pulled this because it talks about mosquitoes, and we've just got a horrendous problem in the Buena Vista Lagoon, and I don't know if this frees up any money or what money, but beyond this little portion of the Loma Alta ditch, we need to be looking at the Buena Vista Lagoon for something. And I briefed Scott on this yesterday, and so I would just like him to maybe enlighten us on what some of the things are that could be coming forward.
Honorable Mayor, council members, Councilmember Feller. Yeah, the vector control problem is an issue in a number of water bodies throughout the city, and this grant actually allows us to take a look at Loma Alta Creek and some alternative as well as traditional means of addressing that. In doing so, we're hoping that we'll be able to find a way that's least invasive and most cost-effective in addressing all these locations. Some of the alternative technologies that's become available are promising, and I actually have a consultant here that can talk about some of that if council wishes to allow him maybe 3 minutes to talk briefly and just describe some of those technologies that are available that we may see in the future in the city.
That was what we discussed, and I would really like to hear, just have his 3 minutes, please.
Go right ahead.
Okay, I'd like to introduce Mr. Torrey Walker. He'll be coming to the podium.
Good evening.
Both Mayor, City Council members, my name is Torrey Walker. I'm the president of Torrey Walker Engineering in Vista. I'm a water resources engineer and provide services throughout Southern California. In that capacity, I am familiar with a technology that has been tried and tested for a number of years in a number of applications, including the city of Dana Point, Doheny State Beach. This is ozonation technology that has addressed several lingering issues that they have no longer had an issue of, and this includes mosquito abatement. In addition to that, odor issues and water quality issues. The city of Agora Hills, north of Los Angeles, is another city that has used this technology, this type of technology. It's an in-stream type of ozonation system. And in addition to that, there are some ponds in San Diego County, lakes and so forth, that are using similar technology, again, with same results of reduction in odor, mosquitoes, and water quality. So I don't want to take up 3 minutes to go on. You may have questions.
Pardon me. The reason I thought this was interesting is because I think we can probably look at possible pilot programs, something along that line that might instill a little confidence in what we're doing or what we're asking for. The Buena Vista Lagoon, there's no mosquitoes right now, so everything's fine down there with their barbecues. But it's going to come around again in the spring and summer, and it will be the same thing as it always has been. And so I think I'd like to be suggesting that we look at this. It's like an ozone treatment. I don't really know the terminology, but it's a way of eradicating mosquitoes, and I think this could be something that would be valuable tool throughout all of the area. I mean, you've got Wayland Lake, you've got the lakes on the golf courses, Pilgrim Creek along Lake, but the most in need is everybody surrounding the Buena Vista Lagoon. If they won't let us cut down the reefs, we maybe need to try something else. So, I would encourage Scott, if that's the wish of the council, to look into those types of alternatives for this.
I've got a question also. Will this system work in a body of water as large and diverse as the Buena Vista Lagoon?
Not with one system, but with distributed systems at strategic locations, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And so I also want to make mention that this vector control issue is serious for our whole city, but it also something that's left out of our background is this is serious enough in some locations that it really affects property values. So I move approval on this, but I would just like us to let Scott freewheel at it a little bit, if that's okay, on the testing.
I'll second.
Through that process.
Thank you. Motion and second. Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe the motion is just to approve the item, right? Okay, thank you. Staff has been looking at the vector control issue. This is not new. And especially the staff has been looking at the bodies of water that and the watersheds and the streams, rivers, whatever, within the city's authority, jurisdiction. Buena Vista Lagoon is 90% of it is owned by the state, Fish and Wildlife. So, and I know that they have been looking at this. The biggest project that would eliminate or nearly eliminate, I can't say completely eliminate, the vector issue is the plan to restore the Buena Vista Lagoon. It is a project that has been, that was taken over by Sandag in terms of the environmental impact report, and I believe that it's in draft form now. Is it draft?
Councilmember Sanchez, I don't know the status of that.
Okay. Well, we should be commenting on that. So I would hope that staff would be looking at what the deadlines are for doing that. Because bottom line, what is happening to the Buena Vista Lagoon is it's dying. It's dying, nothing's happening, it's stagnant, and when something dies in the lagoon, it has nowhere to go. And so it's getting thicker and thicker, and whatever wildlife there is beginning to either move away or die within the lagoon, and that is where the smell comes from. That is why the mosquitoes are there. So we have an opportunity to do something about this for our community, and that has to do with the restoration of the Buena Vista Lagoon and ensuring that it will be addressed. So this is the county put on the ballot a few years ago. Was it 6 years ago, 8 years ago? An item to tax, a property tax, to increase the to put together a fund for vector control, and that is why the county has it's a county vector control program, and I really appreciate that we're getting some of that money back to Oceanside, because it's really not the county's money, it's the city of Oceanside's money. So hopefully, I don't know how much more we could expect to get to address this, but certainly this is something that I know staff has been working on. I know several of us on the dais has been very, very concerned about and has been involved in dialogue with the community. So I do support this, and I do hope that staff will be looking to give their input on the mitigation project for the I-5 widening, which is basically restoring the lagoon. Thank you.
Councilmember Kern, please.
Thank you. Mr. Walker, I just have a couple of questions. If you come up, just reading this, first of all, congratulations on being elected to the Rainbow Water District. Welcome to the group of elected officials here.
Thank you.
My question is, this is an engineered solution, so this would, if you're looking for something that would be a permanent solution, that somehow you're going to do some type of diversion of water, or have salt water come in, or take the water out. Scott, it looks like you're grabbing your mic, and I thought it would be the engineer. Well, you're an engineer too, so what are the engineers' answer to the question?
Well, this is the acceptance of the grant monies. We'll be going out for RFPs, and we'll be looking at different technologies, and that will include engineered solutions as well as possibly alternative solutions.
Oh, okay, because I was reading this in this presentation would be an engineered solution. I was just wondering what that would be. So we really haven't, we're just accepting the grant money, and we'll figure it out later.
Correct. We're requesting that. We'll be requesting RFPs.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Good job.
Deputy Mayor Lowry, please. Sorry.
Mayor, I just wanted to say
Go ahead, you're up.
this is the item is before us is for the ditch, the Low Malta. But what we're talking about is for Mr. Walker is something completely different in the lagoon, and even though it's Fish and Wildlife's responsibility, there are people, so that's...
Right, I understand that, and that's not before us, right?
Right.
So we can't vote on that.
I didn't make a motion for that, but I would just encourage them to look for every solution possible.
Absolutely. But the major stakeholder is Fish and Wildlife and all of the agencies that have authorization over the lagoon.
Thank you. And
if the I-5 widening goes down the toilet on this appeal, nothing will be done there. So.
By the way, for years we've been trying to decide what they want to do with the Buena Vista Lagoon. You want a freshwater mixture or salt water? Let's face it, when they open it to do a salt water, that'll kill most of the mosquitoes, at least the ones close to the ocean. But yeah, it is a problem in our area, so for staff, it's very important, especially in summertime. You can't live down there on either Carlsbad or Oceanside adjacent to it. The mosquitoes are terrible. But with that, thank you very much. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you very, Mr. Clerk, item 10.
Yes, item number 10 is the adoption of a resolution approving the final mitigated negative declaration for Loma Alta and North Avenue Channel Protection Project to control channel erosion, and approval of the future project for the repair and restoration of degraded banks along a portion of Loma Alta Creek adjacent to North Avenue.
Mr. Feller.
The reason I pulled this is I, again, had discussion with Scott on this item, and I almost feel it's in the wrong place, but I brought it, I think even some of that erosion has to do with the sprinter and some of the flow up there, but on that end of the Loma Alta, but the real problem child is going to end up being down on Industry Street, and we got a letter from Scott about that very thing, and I would hope our representative here, Mr. Lowry, would go over to the NCTD board and tell them somehow we have to get a fix on this. 700 sandbags parked outside of somebody's door in this area. You know, this isn't along the Mississippi River. This is just a ditch that we could easily bulldoze, but maybe not easily. But anyway, I move approval, and I know Scott is working diligently on that part of it as well, but I need to get it out there, and you have the capability of discussing this under member items tomorrow at your meeting. So, yeah, well, there you got something. Anyway, move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Thank you. Just briefly, and tail end to Councilmember Feller's comments. I'm not sure that anything has been ever brought up at NCTD, and I know we've had representatives on there for the last 14 years. So I know we've tried as a city to address the issues along the Loma Alta Creek regarding the flooding that usually happens. And I know rain is mostly very positive for us here in Oceanside, but we do have our problems when it does. So perhaps staff can give Deputy Mayor Lowry a briefing on what we've been able to do in the last, 14 plus years. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Kern, please.
Thank you. I just have one quick question because Councilmember Feller brought this up. Any improvements that we do upstream that increases the water flow, isn't that going to impact the Industry Street even more? Are we going to try to coordinate something about doing this? Because now it sounds like we're going to increase the flow upstream and make it flow better, but now we still have kind of that choke point right there at Garrison and Loma Alta. So am I not correct in assuming that there's going to be some impact downstream?
Honorable Mayor, Councilmember Kern, we won't be increasing the flow. What we're doing is we'll be constructing a basin at RDO, and essentially what that does is that equalizes the flow. So when you get a peak, a large slug of water coming down the system, it can hold that. Will that impact the current flow within that segment of channel along Industry Street? It's our estimate that it will not. That the basin that's in place is going to address that the way it is right now, and then we're going further upstream to construct an additional basin.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Mr. Clerk, we need a moment. 11.
Yes, item number 11 is adoption of a resolution overturning Planning Commission Resolution number 2014-P24 and denying the project related to Tentative Track Map P14-00001 Development Plan D13-00012, and regular coastal permit RC13-00016 for the construction of 2 additional condominium units on a newly created 3rd floor of an existing 4-unit condominium complex at 809 South Pacific Street. Applicant Strands and Unlimited LLC.
Thank you very much. Mr. Feller.
Thank you. I wanted to make sure and pull this and forewarn anybody that the future is grim on Pacific Street for development. I have a quote from somebody that said, "We're going to shut down Pacific Street." So that is a serious issue when you consider the amount of cash coming into this city, the sorely needed cash for the future, and it's lucrative for the city to have these vacation rentals, and I'm really sorry that this has gone this way on this particular project, because we need the money, and so I will be voting against this.
Thank you.
Move approval.
Thank you. Second? No further? Please vote.
Motion approved 3-2. Curran and Feller, no.
Mr. Clerk, we'll get a moment. Journal items number 16, please.
Yes, item number 16 is authorization to award a contract in an amount not to exceed $1,460,000 to Standard Constructions Incorporated of Escondido for construction of the San Luis Rey Water Reclamation Facility Major Upgrade Project. Approval of a professional services agreement with Dudek of Encinitas in an amount not to exceed $36,463 for engineering support services during construction, and authorization for the city manager to execute the agreements upon receipt of all supporting documents.
Thank you very much. Jason, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. Our San Luis Rey facility was constructed originally in 1976, and this photo here was taken in approximately 2000. A major expansion occurred to the facility in 2003, and as the facility exists today is shown here in this photo. The major improvements phase 1 project is a rehabilitation project necessary for items pertinent to the original plan from 1976. The work locations are shown here on the map, which include the gravity belt thickening building, the aeration tank, the aeration channel, and the pipe gallery. The project generally consists of seismic upgrades to the gravity belt thickening building, approximately 6 new slide gates, 6 new gate valves in the aeration basins, replacement of some 30-inch steel pipe, and removal of abandoned, out-of-service pipes and conduits, and also the removal of concrete embedded unistruts. Council authorized city engineer to call for bids on October the 15th. On November the 25th, 3 bids were received. The bids were evaluated. The lowest responsive bid was received from Stenick Constructors, Inc. in the amount of $1,460,000. Our engineer's estimate is just over $2 million, and our adopted budget is $4.5 million, which includes other projects outside of this specific project. Staff is requesting the council award the construction project to Stenick Constructors, Inc. and approve a professional service agreement with Dudek Engineers, who was the design engineer for engineering support services during construction. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Jason. Seated sidebar. Public on this?
No public.
Back to the council. Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Move approval and award the contract.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second, but I have a question.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Kern, please.
Thank you. 2 things, Jason. One, it seems like there's a big discrepancy between engineering estimates and actual bid. Could you elaborate on why there's such a gap there? That's a little I would say disturbing, but it's,
Yeah, the engineer's estimate was just slightly over $2 million, and so the bid came in at 1.4, which we were pleased with. So some of the improvements our engineer anticipated some of the contingencies. The contractor, came aggressive into the project, and we talked to him about his bid, and he feels very confident he can complete the work with the bid price he has bid on.
okay, because I'll be looking very closely for change orders on this one, because sometimes you bid it, get the contract, and then you do change orders, and you end up to the original engineering estimate, so I just want to be very cautious about that. And the other thing is, obviously, we're kind of going to revamp La Salina, and I guess I get the sense from the council people that we're going to do a pump station there and pump it back to San Luis Rey. What I don't want to see happen is we're going to do all this work, then we do the pump station, bring in the effluent from La Salina, and then we have to tear out the stuff we just built for the improvement. Has that been taken into consideration?
Yeah, yes, they have. This is part of the plant that was constructed in '76, and so this is just upgrades that were necessary, and they will be necessary, and would have been necessary regardless of what happened to La Salina.
I understand that. I just, when we're talking about going forward, are we making improvements we're going to have to tear out when we bring in the other stuff? That's my concern.
Yeah, no.
Okay, you answered my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Please vote.
Motion approved 5-0.
Thank you very much. When you chance, 17.
Yes, item number 17 is adoption of a resolution declaring a temporary shelter crisis retroactively from December 1st, 2014 through April 15th, 2015, and suspending the zoning ordinance requirement to allow public facilities and churches to shelter up to 50 homeless persons without obtaining a conditional use permit, and direction of staff to make requisite zoning text amendments to accommodate the winter shelter program on a permanent basis, that the annual approval such as this action will not be necessary.
Good evening, Marjorie. Merry Christmas.
Good evening, Merry Christmas to all of you. For the last several years, we've been adopting this resolution to allow the winter shelter program to open from December 1st to roughly the middle of April. This year, I apologize, I forgot that we needed to do this, and the shelter did open on the 1st, but they are following the guidelines that the council required that they be placed in last year. They did receive an inspection from the fire department. It basically allows any church to house up to 50 homeless people other than from north of Wisconsin and west of the I-5. Otherwise, the rest of the city, if a church wants to house up to 50 homeless people, they can. But we do ask that any church do that they become part of the Alliance for Regional Solutions and be in the HMIS database that we use.
Thank you, Marge. Have a seat, Saturday. Public?
No public.
Back to the council. Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Move adoption.
Second?
I'm a second, but I have one quick question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kern. Go ahead.
Obviously, we've had some pretty dramatic weather, inclement weather the last week or so. The utilization of these things, do we have a number of how many people we're actually accommodating now?
They're not able to accommodate all of the people that are coming. They have 50 beds at Bread of Life, and they're full. Operation Hope, that has families, had a waiting list before the shelter even opened. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilmember Feller.
Thank you. Pardon me. Marjorie, says north of Wisconsin, west of I-5, there's probably 2 or 3 churches in that area, maybe 4. I can't recall exactly. And why is it we're not doing those?
One church in that area did attempt to shelter people, but they were deemed to not be a good neighbor. So we thought it would just be best to eliminate that ability for them to house homeless people there.
But that, by not forcing them to abide by these rules, I mean, these are pretty detailed rules that you set forward here, why it puts the burden somewhere else in some other neighborhood, and I'm not sure that's fair to the other neighborhoods too. I mean, we've got, what, 90 churches?
Councilmember Feller, Honorable Mayor, the reality of the situation is that the churches are not housing homeless people for the most part. We're reliant on Bread of Life, which the city provides funds to support the winter shelter program for North County. It was just this one church that took in a few people, but they were serving breakfast and they had problems with homeless people hanging out in that neighborhood, and the neighbors complained about it. And it was actually at the council's direction last year to put that provision in.
Well, this is exactly what we're trying to do, and what churches should be trying to do to solve our social needs instead of government paying for it. So I just, if somebody wants to volunteer, I sure hate to turn them down for the very thing that's something that the churches should be doing.
I should add that there are 4 other churches that are participate in the Interfaith Rotational Shelter Network, and they basically house homeless people for a 2-week period with their members overseeing the program in the evening, and then they rotate to the next shelter, and that's throughout the county of San Diego. But we have 4 churches here in Oceanside that participate in that program.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As a follow-up to Councilmember Feller's inquiry, Ms. Chris, do you think it would be possible to get the church, this church particularly, in a situation where they could be able to house? We attempted to do that, and it continued to be a problem. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Please vote.
Motion approved 5-0.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I said bless you.
Somebody else said something, sorry.
Item
19?
Item 19 is a consideration of a proposal for the city and the villages of Rancho Del Oro Association to share the cost of streetlight pole replacement in the RDO area with an estimated cost of $830,250 to the city and $648,000 to RDO.
Honorable Mayor, Council Member Steve Jones, Manager. The item before you, I'm asking you to approve a cost share agreement and funding with the villages of Rancho Del Oro for the replacement of streetlights in the Rancho Del Oro area, subject to approval by the residents, members of the homeowners association. This item has been ongoing for some time in the city, and it led to some litigation over the replacement of some defective streetlights in the Rancho Del Oro area. There's some 405 streetlights that are affected, that are in the area controlled by the villages of Rancho Del Oro. The city had offered to share in the cost of replacing these poles on roughly a 50-50 basis. The neighborhood had rejected that. Some litigation pursued in which the city prevailed with the finding that the city is not responsible for providing street lighting. The neighborhood was reapproached by me a few months ago, and we've been looking for a solution, and I believe that we have one within our reach for council's consideration. The revised offer would share the cost on a 56% city cost and 44% villages of Rancho Del Oro. That translates roughly into $650,000 to replace the 405 poles, $650,000 by the villages of Rancho Del Oro, and $760,000 that would be attributed to the city's streetlight fund. There are adequate funds available over the next 3 years to facilitate the replacement of these lights. Most importantly, the ones that are currently out, roughly 200 lights, would be replaced immediately with the balance over 2 years. Of course, this is subject to a vote and approval of the individual residents in the Rancho Del Oro area, and I would ask the council's consideration for this revised proposal, the source of funds and the dollar split, and I'm available to answer any questions you might have.
Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What is the balance in this fund? Proposal is to have this money come from an ongoing street light fixture. Let's see.
The balance in this fund is a little more than is necessary for the city's share of the first year. The unallocated reserves are budgeted at $353,000 a year. That money is put into the account and set aside, and it will continue that way until the council changes it. The total amount that would be available for funding in the first year is roughly over $1 million, with about $350,000 a year after that. We are anticipating additional savings from the conversion of the citywide streetlight system to LED lighting, and that money is also in the account. I couldn't give you the exact total on the fund balance at this moment.
All right, so the homeowner association is going to be putting it on their ballot, and if it is approved, then we will be doing this cost share program. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And our share is a little over, is it 800,000?
Our share is roughly 760,000.
830,000. 250.
Our unallocated reserve share would be $760,000.
So, how long would this be taking to do over time? We had anticipated these several years, didn't we?
Well, it could take several years if you wanted to replace the poles as they fail. But it can be done as quick as 3 years, and the money would be available in the first year to replace the 200 street lights that have already failed.
Because of this special fund?
That's correct.
Not because of the unallocated reserves?
Well, the special fund and the unallocated reserves are in fact the same money. It's a street light, the street light fund, we have a street light district, and the streetlight district has its own special taxing authority. It's a citywide streetlight district. And there are funds available. There's not funds available to do the entire project. They would have to accumulate over a 3-year period of time.
And what does that mean? What would we not be doing?
Well, what it means is that you would...
I mean, this puts it as a priority and basically spends down the account.
That's right.
What other projects would we not be doing?
It would not prohibit anything unless we had extraordinary emergency repairs that were necessary, in which case we probably would be back asking the council for some kind of special appropriation anyway.
Okay. I have been advocating for this from the very beginning, when we were first actually sued. And even before we were sued, I thought that because this, to me, it presented as a public safety issue in Rancho Del Oro, the lights failing. People were not really, homeowners were really not privy to the original contract. It was something that they had to read and several things down the line, down the pages. And while they had been collecting all this time, it probably never was enough to do the entire project. So I am in support of this. I was thinking more of a 50-50 split. It's close enough to it, 43.
44-56.
44-56. So I'm going to go ahead and move approval. This is, in my mind, this is highly unusual in that we don't usually agree to substandard lighting and then expect the homeowners to assume the liability. I think what we have now are standards, and I hope that going in the future that we will, not back off on those standards. That if we're really looking to ensure public safety and quality of life into the future, we're going to require a certain kind of lighting for developments. Of course, I don't foresee that we're going to have these kind of developments anymore. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and move approval. Thank you.
I have a second. I have a second. Thank you very much. Councilmember Kern.
Okay, walk me through this, Mr. City Manager. We offered them a 50-50 split. They said no. They sued us. We prevailed, right? Which means, they put these lights in. They failed to maintain them. Now they want the city to come in and put in the lights, and now we're actually going to pay higher than a 50-50 split. Am I correct in that timeline, in that assumption?
Well, through the mayor, Councilmember Kern, that's kind of a brief summary.
Well, that's the summary I'm reading here.
That's right. It's brief, but it's correct. It's actually more complicated than that, and there was a lot involved, starting with the city's approval of streetlights that actually cost more money, but because they're a fancier design, but they weren't our concrete standard direct burial pole. And some of them weren't installed right. I guess we prevailed in the lawsuit because we're not required to provide street lighting, not necessarily that we did anything right or wrong, but that we don't have to provide street lighting. Some of these lights, when I looked at them, the concrete bases were installed too low, and the water pooled at the concrete base and rusted out the anchor bolts in the pole. And that goes back to when they were installed and the inspection. There's a couple subdivisions that have more failures than others. I don't know what our obligation is in terms of if it was a sewer line or a water line, would we replace it without charge to the residents? Yes.
Yeah.
And we have a citywide street lighting district. It seems to me that 50-50 would be a good compromise. The question is 44-56 close enough to you, because their attorneys have opined that they can't pay for anything beyond upgrades and labor for something that's going to be in the public right-of-way that the homeowners association does not own. I guess I'd have to accept that on the face of it, and all I'm doing is bringing you the offer. I'm kind of the middleman here right now, and I think that we have an obligation to provide for our residents. I don't know where that obligation stops. That's why you guys get paid so much money.
Well, and I guess my question is, who was supposed to maintain the poles? I mean, the idea that these things seem like they, had catastrophic failures, and it seemed like one after the other after a couple of years. Or after, at a certain point in time, that either we failed to monitor them or they failed to monitor them as far as the regular maintenance and keeping and putting in a steel pole probably wasn't the best idea to begin with. But I'm looking at the city attorney. I mean, who is the maintenance responsibility falling on these poles?
Well, there was maintenance agreements that have now long since expired. Those agreements basically said that the city would do the maintenance, but it would be any extra maintenance required because of the unique nature of these poles would be paid for by the association. And any poles that would have to be replaced during the term of the agreement, again, it's expired now, would be replaced by the association. So that's kind of how it worked. The city has never disputed that we own those poles when the lawsuit was pending, and that there are poles. One of the key issues, though, in that lawsuit was that the court basically accepted the city's argument that this is sort of a separation of powers argument. The court can't tell the city how to approve a budget. We had produced proof that there's only so much money in the lighting district and we're spending it legally, and in order to replace all of these lights, it would require us to come up with funding sources outside of the lighting district. So
I think that was one of the key considerations for the court.
Are they funding a separate lighting district for Rancho Doloro now to pay for these lights going forward?
No, through the mayor, the Councilmember Kern, they would put this out for a vote to the membership of the homeowners association. It would be a one-time assessment of roughly $200 per household to pay their portion of the street light.
And the ongoing maintenance is going to be picked up by the general population of the city?
The ongoing maintenance for the street, all the street lights in the city, is the responsibility of the city,
Okay. So,
including the Rancho Doloro street lights.
and how did we come up with this 56-44% split? Why not 50-50? Why not 60-40? How did we come up with these particular numbers?
That's a great question. The number is based on the extra cost of the pole. Beyond our standard, we provide a standard concrete, round concrete pole. The Rancho Doloro residents wanted a square concrete pole that is brown. That cost additional money, and they agreed to pay for the labor. If you approve this agreement, they will pay for 100% of the labor. So our cost is the cost of a standard pole in place. They pay for the labor, they pay for the extra cost of the pole, and this is what it came out to: 44%, 56%.
Okay, I'd like to see closer to 50-50, but I suppose I'll support this just to get it down the road. Do we have any feel whether the association or the residents out there are going to vote for this? If they hadn't said, have you talked to them and say, yeah, we can get this through?
I've not talked to them. The first action would be for the council to approve it, and then I think that we can put out some information that if they hope to have streetlights in the future, this is the best opportunity that's available to them, because eventually they're all going to fail, and then there will not be streetlights in the Rancho Doloro area, which is a large area town, and there's roughly 600 poles total, including the arterial streets, which we are responsible for.
Yeah, so if they reject this bid, this is their last opportunity. We're not going to go back and try to up the bid or...
I don't have any plans on that. I suppose at some point, years down the road, somebody could re-examine this.
Okay. I just... All right. My questions have been answered. Not satisfactory, but they're okay.
Councilmember Feller?
These poles that we as a city already put throughout the city are 50-year poles. The ones they got were 20-year poles. And right here in our backup it says that they asked for these poles. The revised standards required the property owners to bear any added cost. At one time, there was about $750,000 in the RDO Homeowners Association account, and it was spent somewhere else. So I think I appreciate Gary bringing this forward when he did. Steve's been working on it now for several months, and I think they've gone long enough. I kind of have that mixed feeling that we should, hold their feet a little more to the fire over that $700,000 that was in their accounting for this replacement. But as a matter of public safety, many of the places that I visited, they're very dark in these long winter nights. So I think that's a kind of a sticker for me. So I support this. I think you've done a great job in getting there. I hope we can do a little better in requiring long-term maintenance if somebody wants a wild different street light. And it also says in the backup, the one that you're getting is a concrete brown one.
Concrete square,
And square,
50-year pole.
50-year poles. So, we won't be replacing these real soon. And I appreciate that. So that's all I have.
Deputy Mayor Fowler, please.
Just so I'll understand the basics here and not be technical, the city is proposing to share the cost of replacing the disappearing streetlights in this certain part of Rancho Del Oro. I've read all the notes about this. So once the council approves it or not, then you will take it to the residents in the affected neighborhood, and they will choose whether or not they want to pay the homeowners, whether they want to pay $200 to buy into this program.
Deputy Mayor,
Whatever.
the homeowners association will be doing the balloting of their members, not the city. But other than that, yes, that's fair to say.
Will they be imposed upon if they only get 70% approval, or what do they have to have?
My understanding, Deputy Mayor, is they have to have 51% approval.
Okay. So once these people, the 51% or more, choose to do this project, and then we go in and do it, then it becomes these street lamps that aren't there currently, we would resume, or we would begin maintaining them and providing electricity to them. It would just be another part of the city's lighting district.
We're responsible for maintaining the poles now. I think that the city, over the years, probably wasn't diligent in doing the inspections because they really expected that they would have a longer life. So I think folks were surprised when they started failing at such a large rate. We do inspect them twice a year now, all of our poles in the city. So we should have some advance warning. But most of the poles that probably were installed too low, all the critical ones, are the 200 that are out. I don't think the other ones, at least the ones I've looked at, where the foundations above the grass line are in any immediate danger.
So the people who live there who don't have streetlights currently operating, are they currently paying on their property taxes to have streetlights operating, and they're paying an assessment on the lighting district, and they're not getting anything for that money? Is that correct?
Can I jump in? Not to interrupt the city manager, but one of the things we did do is for those homeowners who were immediately affected by the lights being taken out, their properties, their assessment into the lighting district was reduced. So they're paying just for the general benefit of having lights on arterial streets throughout the city, but not the local benefit of the lights within their community.
They do get a benefit from the rest of the lights in the community.
I won't ask the obvious. I won't ask the obvious that they're going to return to the normal assessment.
Well, then we'll have to go through the 218 process if we're going to increase assessments. So
sounds really easy to me. I think we should approve this. Thank you.
They're not going to, we're not replacing lights in their parks in the Rancho Del Oro. Is that right?
We will replace all of the defective lights, whether they're on the street or they're in the parks, as part of this, but I'm not aware of any that are defective that are in the parks because they're all a lot newer.
Well, I'm referring to, they have little pocket parks throughout there.
No, we don't maintain lights on private property.
That's what I meant, private property, not our parks. And this also includes the street lights and signs in Rancho Del Oro, but we maintain those. Is that correct? I'm not serious.
Through the Mayor, Councilmember Filler, we maintain the signs, but there's a special sign standard and pole and a frame around the signs. And I talked to the homeowners association. They would like to get rid of that special standard for Rancho Del Oro and eliminate their burden for the extra cost. And for us billing them for every sign installation or replacement out in that area, and it's something I think we should consider at a later date.
Mr. City Attorney, would you please, for the record?
I just had a quick question I wanted to ask. Assuming, Mr. City Manager, I'm assuming what you're asking for is approval of the financing of this, and then it would go to the Homeowners Association, and they would handle the balloting, and assuming that was successful, then we would have a contract that we could bring between the city and the HOA that would very clearly define the parties' responsibilities going forward, and it would all be memorialized. Because I would recommend we have an agreement with the HOA that makes it very clear what each of the parties' obligations are going forward.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For my sake, if I may, I know I have one more light on, I've been concerned about this over the years for one particular reason, in fact, this group went along with this plan to pick these particular lights for decorative purposes. It turned out to be a bad choice. I'm more concerned about saying to other HOAs in the city, and there are plenty of them, we're setting the precedence that the other ones might have another problem, no matter what the issue might be, that somehow you come back to the city and say we pay half of the damages, even though there's a contract that says, no, you'll take care of them. I'm a little concerned about that. I understand public safety, and I am mulling this in my mind. I had a couple of questions, too, is that I think Mr. Kuhn highlighted it. We went out right away and said, you know, we have a contract with you that says you pick these poles, you take care of them, and we'll come and do 50-50 for you. They turned around and sued us. I realized that was an HOA board, not the citizens. And later on, when we won, that was a kind of a surprise to all the citizens, and now they're responsible for it after the court proceedings. Yet they want to come back and we're going to pay more than half of this after we went to a court battle and won. That sends a heck of a message to all the HOAs in the city of Oceanside. I'm really concerned about, but I do in the back of my mind remember public safety, and that's important. My question is, they were responsible for these poles. How much money did they have in their HOA fees? Because they're supposed to be paying into us for all these years. How much money did they have after all this money being paid into their association? Do you have a number, a dollar amount that they had at the end of this? City attorney?
I don't. I think through discovery you found that they had some reserves. I don't know what they were earmarked for. There is just one item, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to address, though, and that's with regard to the selection of this pole. Unfortunately, the people who live in the houses didn't have a clue. When the pole was selected, it was selected by a developer who's long gone. And I'm not sure that the developer really knew that they were selecting a pole or that it was being installed in a manner that they wouldn't get full life out of it. So the residents probably were surprised by the result of this, because they have very nice looking poles. It just didn't last very long. But I think that the attorney did some discovery on their reserves. I have no idea what they're earmarked for. They did have some. I don't know if they do now, but Mr. Attorney?
They're supposed to be paying in for this all this time, so I would figure the reserves are right.
Yeah, my recollection from the discovery is that there was a line item entry on the bill to the homeowners collecting for the replacement. But to be honest with you, we won the lawsuit before the depositions on that issue were concluded, so I can't give you a figure. We waived the recovery of our attorney's fees that our office incurred in prevailing on the lawsuit, yes.
Thank you. I kind of blame the the HOA board, thank you. The HOA board, in case you didn't hear that, the HOA board for making the decisions to go to the lawsuit, but that's not typical of the residents and somebody else making that decision. I kind of blame them for what happened. My question too would be, let's say they do the vote and it doesn't pass. What do we now?
We're back to square one, Mr. Mayor.
The other thing I remember is Councilmember Feline brought this to us earlier, and he was impacted by the neighborhood, and he brought it up, and I think it was supported by council members up here 100% of the cost, if I remember right. But anyhow, whatever we talk about, I got one more speaker. I'm concerned two ways. Public safety for these people. The other one is, my goodness, any other HOA out there can come along and say, you did it once, here's a second try. With that, I'm going to go to Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And in following up with what Mr. Mullins said, I did assume that we were going to have a contract brought to us with specifics on going forward and how this is paid. And I want to make sure that it's, as we go forward, the percentage percentage amounts are paid as we're talking about here. So as monies are put into this fund, as they're collecting it, it sounds like they're going to have their $200, and if it's voted, if it's approved, it'll be collected within some specific time. They'll probably be given a certain amount of time. So if that's true, then the amounts will be there immediately or in the near term. If there is a different agreement, say they give them more time, or they're in a flux as to residents coming and going, homeowners coming and going, then that may take a little more time. But I just want to make sure that that percentage remains going forward. To me, this is, again, was a public safety issue. That's why I've advocated 50-50. This was brought to us by Councilmember Feline, who had suggested, and I think the direction to Mr. Jepson going forward was, negotiating was possibly the entire cost. I think I may have been, I think the mayor was also suggesting the 50%. This is close enough.
That's correct. The
yeah.
direction was to go back and see if you could get 50-50.
Yeah. So that was the mayor and myself, but I think the Councilmember Feline was saying, you know, we should just pay the whole thing. So, and that was the 3-2 split. That's why I didn't support the motion, because it was, Councilmember Feline said 100%. So I'm glad that it's closer to the 50-50 split that the mayor and I were, pushing. If we had all the money in the world, I think this is what I said, if we had all the money in the world, it wouldn't be an issue. But because we have to look at our fiduciary duties to other communities, and because this is kind of a unique situation where, and I don't think I've ever heard a developer anywhere else say, given the latitude of choosing a shorter lifespan type lighting. So again, hopefully this will never happen again. So that's my support.
Thank you. The whole council decided 50-50 was the right number. It was not just the mayor. It was not 3-2. We voted for the project at 50-50. We all talked about it.
Okay. That's a please vote, ladies and gentlemen.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you very much, ladies, and take a 10-minute break. I'll take care of some things. Second phase of the council will come back. If you haven't been here before, out the doors, up the stairs, bathroom, and water. Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Get started here in a few minutes. We were running a little bit late, but we have to organize some things to get started. I will ask you this for housekeeping purposes. Take your pagers, cell phones, put them on vibrate or silent. We would appreciate that. And we'll get started in a few minutes. Got to get all the council members back here at the dais. Thank you very much. With that, please.
Please stand for the invocation and pledge. Tonight's invocation will be delivered by City Clerk Zach Beck, who is also the youth pastor for Gateway Community Church.
Everyone, please bow your heads. Father, we come before you to simply say thank you. Thank you for the privilege, the blessing, the honor it is to live in this incredible community of Oceanside. We're a diverse community of different backgrounds, different beliefs, different presents, and different futures, but one common goal, and that is the betterment of this community. We come here to seek guidance, wisdom, and discernment during the deliberations that transpire this evening. Therefore, we lift up Councilmember Feller, Deputy Mayor Lowry, Mayor Wood, Councilmember Sanchez, and Councilmember Kern. Continue to provide peace and encouragement to them and their families, and to all the families in this community. And to those who are celebrating during this holiday season, those who are celebrating Christmas, we pray that they'd be experiencing peace, joy, and hope. Those who are just celebrating time with family during the season, would they have peace, joy, and hope as well. And as the holiday of Hanukkah begins today, we say in recognition in the Hebrew language, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedashanu b'mitzvah sov v'tzivanu l'hadlik shel Hanukkah. To bless those who are celebrating Hanukkah, we say all these things in your heavenly Son, in your precious name. Amen.
Will Frank Zimmerman, Director of Coaching from the Oceanside Breakers Soccer Club, please come forward to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, sir. Hand over your hearts, everyone. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please have a seat. Thank you.
Will Alma Sanchez please come forward? Also, the city council members, please come forward into the dais, and department heads, please come forward into the dais for the presentation of the Employee Service Awards.
Good evening, Mayor Woods, council members, department directors, and everyone in the audience. It is with great pleasure that I present to you tonight employees who have reached the praiseworthy accomplishment of 20 and 25 years of service with the City of Oceanside. Let's begin with our 20-year recipients. When your name is called, please come forward. Ty Bayou. Ty began his career with the City of Oceanside on September 25, 1994, as a public service officer with the Oceanside Police Department. Ty has been a public and field service officer and is currently a field evidence technician. Let's help Ty celebrate 20 years of service to our community with a round of applause. Thank you, Ty. Next, we have Robert Medford. Robert began his career with the City of Oceanside on November 27, 1994, as a public service officer with the Oceanside Police Department. Robert has been a public service and community service officer and is currently a field evidence technician. Let's help Robert celebrate 20 years of service to our community with a round of applause. Next, we have our 25 years of service recipients. Matt Christensen. Matt began his career with the City of Oceanside on October 8, 1989 as a police officer. During his 25 years of service, Matt has been a police officer, corporal, and is currently a police sergeant. Assignments Matt has accomplished include detective, field training officer, SWAT team member, and detective sergeant. He is currently assigned to the Patrol Division Stay Watch. Let's give Matt a round of applause for 25 years of service to our community. Thank you, Matt. Next, we have Edward Lane. Ed began his career with the City of Oceanside on November 5, 1989 as a police officer. In addition to Officer Lane's 25 years with the Oceanside Police Department, he worked with the San Diego County Sheriff's Department for 1 year. During his time with OPD, Officer Lane has worked patrol and spent 8 years in investigations, working in the Property and Crimes and Family Protection Unit. Prior to law enforcement, Officer Lane received a master's degree from Columbia University and served 10 years in the United States Marine Corps, leaving at the rank of captain. Let's give Officer Lane a round of applause for 25 years of service to our community. Thank you, Ed. And lastly, Teresa Gomez. Teresa began her career with the City of Oceanside on November 6, 1989 as a Customer Service Representative 1 in the Finance Department. Several years later, she was hired in the Water Utilities Department as a Management Analyst. Teresa is currently a Senior Management Analyst in the Water Utilities Department. Let's give Teresa a round of applause for 25 years of service to our community. Thank you, Teresa. That concludes our service awards presentation. Thank you.
Next, we have the Mayor's Youth Sports Recognition of Oceanside Breakers Girls Under 9 Black Soccer Team. Please come forward when I call your name. Frank Zimmerman, Director of Coaching from the Oceanside Breakers Soccer Club. Justin Carter, Assistant Coach of the Oceanside Girls Black Team. Catherine Camacho, Team Manager. Charlotte Matarazzo, number 2. Brooke Lipton, number 6. Delilah Carter, number 10. Fernanda Rodriguez, number 9. Emily Aguilar, number 14. Alexandra Pendleton, number 8. Jocelyn Canales, number 11. And Lillian Camacho, number 5. We'd also like to have friends of our cortisone, George McNeil and Diane Nygaard. Please come forward. On November 8th of this year, the very first soccer games were played on the beautiful new fields at El Corazone's
SoCal Sports Complex. Two of the first teams to play were the Soccer Club of Oceanside Girls Under 9 Black Team and the Arsenal Soccer Team from San Diego. During the game, team member Charlotte Matarazzo entered the record books with the first goal ever to be scored at the new fields. We recognize her for her outstanding accomplishment and congratulate the entire Black team for winning their first game that day.
The Friends of Alcoa Zone have been working on getting Alcoa Zone to be an asset for the city of Oceanside for a lot of years. We were so thrilled on November the 8th to see all the soccer kids out there playing, the fields in use, and the city enjoying it. The first goal scored ever on the Alcoa Zone soccer fields was scored by Charlotte Matarazzo. We have a plaque that says, Friends of Alcoa Zone congratulate Charlotte Matarazzo, the first player to score a goal on Alcoa Zone, November 8th, 2014.
Parents, friends, you can move wherever you want for photographs. Don't forget, it's live on TV. You always get copies. It plays again, so you can always record it. But for right now, you want pictures of your youth. Come on up. I'm so happy. I say this all the time because these lovely girls represent the city of Oceanside. Their names, they play locally, sometimes county, state, and nationally. And they represent us, so we get them up in front of the TV every so often with the coaches, team moms, and everybody else to say thank you for representing our city all around the world, live on TV, and et cetera. But to give you these awards to say thank you for being a great representative for our city of Oceanside with your names, et cetera. But I'm going to pass the mic behind to the coaches and say a few words about this team and also the new soccer fields. I've been up there and it's pretty fantastic. It's a wonderful big area, a lot of space and room to be wonderful for our youth and the future of sports.
Hi everyone, my name is Frank Zimmerman. I'm the Director of Coaching for the Soccer Club of Oceanside, also known as the Oceanside Bakers. These young ladies are one of 38 competitive teams, but we also have 92 recreational teams. About 2,000 kids play for our club and represent our community both here and, as Mayor Wood said, all over the Western region. And the finest soccer park in the Western region and perhaps in the country is located right here in Oceanside, California, about 3 miles from the beach, with the breeze blowing and the sun shining, and it's shining right on these little girls and all of us. And that park is filling up our hotels, it's filling up our restaurants, and it's providing opportunities for the parents of these and many others to work once in a while on the weekends and help cover all the fees related to the things that they want their children doing, playing soccer. And I got to tell you, it's a dream come true. It is the finest park I've ever been on in my life, and I'm so proud that we have it here in Oceanside. Thank you, Alcoa Zone Committee. Thank you, SoCal Complex Group. But most of all, thank you, Community of Oceanside Council and everyone else that helped make it happen. These little girls are now playing on the best facility that I know of. Thank you very much.
Briefly, I just want to say it's been a pleasure and a privilege to coach these young ladies and the future of our soccer club, and to thank the community of Oceanside and Alcoa Zone, and also Coach Frank for making me a part of this special group. Thank you very much.
just want to thank Oceanside and Oceanside Breakers for giving me the opportunity to be the awesome team manager to these amazing girls. So thank you.
One last thing, girls, do you miss your coach tonight? Danny couldn't be here, but you know where he's at? He's coaching the high school game tonight. And I've got a high school game in about 30 minutes I got to get to too, so.
Girls.
Yay! Girls are in history books now, not only playing out there, but the first goal out the park. Thank you for future moms, dads. Don't forget, this is live tonight, but it plays again. Get copies, or you can get it from KOCT. And it's always good for the grandparents at Christmas time. Again, say Merry Christmas and bye.
Merry Christmas.
Next, we have the Mayor's Business Member Spotlight. Would the following Chamber of Commerce members please come forward? Ron Riedmeister, Chairman of the Board. C.C. Haas, Chairman of the Membership Committee. Kirsten Hill, Vice President of Communications. And Business Members of the Month, John and Marilyn Moore of Sonic Spider, LLC.
Okay, thank you very much. So as you heard, the business of the month now is Sonic Spider, represented by John and Marilyn Moore. And why is Sonic Spider the business of the month? Sonic Spider is providing technical support for small business, not only in Oceanside, but also in other communities, and also specializing in web development, web support, enhancing the visibility of businesses. But if you can listen to what every month goes on, what a really important criterion for us is what do you do for our community? And how do you help Oceanside to be a better place? And in this case, it's not only focusing on your own business, but also providing free education for business owners. So we have regular programs going on where business owners can come to the Chamber of Commerce and get educated in all kinds of technical aspects that have to do in the business, optimizing their websites, designing the websites, what can they do to improve the technology inside their business. And that's where you come in and you give your knowledge to the community and you help business owners to improve in those areas. And that for us is a great reason to pronounce you to be now the business of the month. Sonic Spider, thank you very much and congratulations.
As a recipient of some of the seminars that they have put on, it is open to the public, and they do put it out to the public, so it's not just for chamber members, it's for all business community, anybody who wants to learn about what they actually do. So I just thank you so much as chairman of the membership committee. I thank you for your service to the chamber and also to the community of Oceanside. Thank you. Their seminars are fantastic. For anyone who's interested in anything Google, SEO, social media related, I highly recommend them. And they're free at the chamber office. So I just want to say thank you again for providing that service to our chamber members and to our community, and just bringing new people into the office. So thank you.
I just want to say real quick, they do put it up on meetup.com. So it's on meetup.com that you can get a hold of that.
I just want to say the Chamber is, the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce is just an amazing organization to work with, totally supportive of everything that we proposed, and it's just been a real privilege and honor, and continues to be so.
Well, this is, our big thing in our business is educating people, and we really have a passion for helping
small businesses, that's where we really try to focus, and small businesses kind of struggle sometimes keeping up with technology and keeping up with all the details, because as a small business, you're very busy, and you're wearing all the hats. And so come on and visit us. We really want to help you, and with the Chamber has a lot of great programs to help you too, so get involved with the Chamber, and you're going to be helped a lot.
The last thing I want to say is thank you to Mayor Wood and the City Council for honoring our members so well every month. We really appreciate it. We can't tell you enough. It's an honor to be here, and we thank you for that.
No, thank you. Photograph, how's that? First off, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for that short pause. It's always nice to recognize people within the city doing something pretty positive, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. We'll go ahead and move on here. And if we could, Mr. Clerk, let's go to item number 25, the city attorney.
Thank you. The council met in closed session to discuss item 1 on the closed session agenda, conference with legal counsel, conference with labor negotiator involving the Oceanside Police Officers Association. The council did meet and provide direction on that item. There's no reportable action. Item 201, Olive versus City of Oceanside. The council did not meet on that matter. Item 202, San Diegans for open government versus the city at all. And item 2A3, City of El Centro versus David Lanier et al. On item 2A2, the council met. There's no reportable action on that item. Item 2A3, City of El Centro versus Lanier, the council voted 3-2, Kern and Feller no, to withdraw from the appeal of that pending lawsuit in the 4th District Court of Appeal. That's all.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Clerk, could we take 26 and 27, but 26 first? Thank you.
Yes, item number 26, Ms. Kathy Michael, may come forward at this time.
Hi, Kathy. Nice hat.
I got matching earrings this week.
You noticed?
I just, on behalf of Main Street, we do wish our council members, city staff, and our community a happy holidays this year. Tomorrow will be our last 2 markets of the year. We do want to remind everybody that Thursday is market day in Oceanside. Our day market will be going on from 9 to 1. Get your last minute shopping for everything that you need at your table, your centerpieces or gifts. And of course our Sunset Market from 5 to 9 p.m. We will have Santa there until approximately 7:30. Why go to the mall? The market has it all. We hope to see you down there. I'll be in my appropriate attire. And of course, we will be closed for the 2 Thursdays afterwards, which are Christmas and New Year's. And then starting off the new year on January 2nd, we have Art Walk, always the first Friday of the month. There's over a dozen businesses that will be participating that evening with displaying art, live music, yummy delights and beverages, and the information is on artwalkoceanside.com. I'm sorry, I have to step back for a minute. Tomorrow is also Day Without a Bag. The City Zero Waste Program will be in at both the day market and the night market. They will be doing a children's activity to decorate your own reusable bag at the evening market. And then, of course, we do have services limited, dependent on weather, at the beach during the weekends and during the week with our bikes, surreys, food, and other things that you may need at the beach. Of course, all the information is on our website at mainstreetoceanside.com, or you can call us at 760-754-4512. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Yelp. So we do hope to see you in the downtown, and we do hope you have a great holidays, and see you next year. Thank you.
Next, we have Ms. Bobby Thornton. Okay. Would you like to move forward to item number 27?
I'll go with the public then.
At this time, Jimmy Knott may come forward.
Mayor, council members, give me not 127 Sherry Lane. After a huge city and campaign controversy, after waiting for months for OPD and FBI background checks, then after more time for the city to grant a bingo license, this month we have finally got our ducks in a row. And I can proudly announce that in the new year, on January 12th, Senior Bingo will restart at the El Corazon Senior Center. At noon, we will open our doors, and we will have a start time at 12:30 p.m. We don't promise to be perfect, as we are volunteers, but with everyone's help, we can be successful in helping raise funds for a senior nutrition program. And I thank for everybody who has helped us all along the way. My second issue that I have, that I want to bring forward to the council, so the council can think about it in the new year. I don't know if you saw this in December 7th newspaper. It's about the issue that is around the nation that we have. And that's the issue of basically disproportionate arrest ratios. Oceanside PD basically reflects the rest of the county in the arrest ratios. What shows that the African American population, as you can see there in Oceanside, has nearly double the Anglo population arrest that you can see there, and for all the rest of the populations as well. So this is something I would encourage the City Council to look into in the coming year. These come from very valid statistics from Sandag, from the FBI, etc., and from the Sheriff's Department. This was raised to me as an issue to bring forward to you that was not brought up recently, that they were hoping that would be brought up by others. And I thank you for giving me the time. Thank you.
No further public on this item?
Good, thank you very much. Could we go with item number 28, please?
Yes. Item number 28 is adoption of a resolution approving development plan RD14-0001 and regular coastal permit RRP14-0001 for the construction of a 3,750 square foot drive-through In-N-Out Burger restaurant located at 936 North Coast Highway, applicant In-N-Out Burger, a California corporation.
Thank you very much. With that, as the mayor, I'll open this public hearing and also ask disclosure from council members. I'll start with council member Feller, please.
Thank you. I had contact with staff as well as the applicant called to see if there was any problems as far as I was concerned. And I've eaten there a lot. Thank you.
I don't know how to follow that up. And I received one email from a constituent. I looked at the site. I spent a few minutes looking around there. That was a nice site. And that's all I know.
Thank you. Staff, the applicant, and the property owner, thank you very much.
Thank you, staff, and just before this meeting, I did speak to a representative from the property owner.
Staff only, the applicant did call, but I didn't have a chance to return his phone call.
Mr. Clerk?
None.
Correspondence? Anything?
None.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Beth. With that, John, how are you?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the Community Development Commission, Mr. Jeffs and Mr. Mullen. My name is John Helmer. I am I'm a contract planner serving as the downtown area manager. Where did my picture go? There we go. I have just a short presentation prior to the public hearing for the development plan and the regular coastal permit for this In-N-Out Burger restaurant. This project site is located on North Coast Highway at the 936 North Coast Highway in the area outlined in red. It is the site of the current Caro's restaurant. Directly to the south of that is the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce and the Oceanside Welcome Center. To the north is the Oceanside Welcome Sign and Monument. To the east, as you can see, is the Caltrans right-of-way for Highway 76 and Interstate 5. To the west is North Coast Highway. Typical land uses along North Coast Highway are motels, the main attraction, Gentlemen's Club. The road that you see there directly opposite Caro's is Costa Pacifica Way. It's a private road. Right at the end of that road there's a dirt lot. That is the site of the recently approved Seacliff Terrace condominium mixed-use project approved by this council earlier this year. I'd like to give you just a brief background about this property. That building, which is now Caro's, was originally built in 1973 as a Bob's Big Boy restaurant. It was purchased by the Cope and Family Trust in 1974 and converted to a Caro's restaurant in 1990, where it's still operating as a Caro's. In 2013, as part of the unwinding of the redevelopment agency, the successor agency conducted an auction for remnant redevelopment agency parcels. The parcel with the 6A over the dirt parcel there was sold at public auction, and that was bought also by the Cope and Family Trust. That provided a total site with the property already owned at the Caro's of a little over an acre, which provided a much more developable site for this property. In 2013, the City Council approved a rezoning and a local coastal plan amendment on this site to rezone it from 7B, this is downtown zoning designation, which is recreational, commercial, and residential use, to 6A, as noted on the label there, which is a visitor-serving commercial use. 6A is a visitor-serving commercial use intended to primarily orient those uses towards the freeway and to the harbor as well. I know this is a busy site plan. It's an over an acre site, but I can tell you that this is a 3,750 square foot restaurant. It is single story. It has indoor dining of approximately 1,600 square feet with seating for about 76 people. There are 11 outdoor dining tables that seat approximately 40 people. There are 53 parking spaces. Zoning requires 42 parking spaces. There are 2 access points on North Coast Highway. And there's a drive-through facility. As you can see, it enters from North Coast Highway, wraps around the right side of the property. The drive-through facility is in the back of the facility facing the Caltrans right-of-way. There is a stacking queue for 17 cars in that queue. By the way, our zoning requirements are for 5. However, staff is sometimes these In-N-Out burger restaurants can be very popular, and we have a proposed condition that's in the resolution before you that provides a contingency queuing plan and have In-N-Out personnel on the site with handheld ordering equipment and to maintain the stacking without stacking out into the coast highway. This is just the floor plan. This is the typical floor plan, again, that shows the indoor and the outdoor seating areas. The architecture, this is not the architecture that for the project you'll be seeing today. This is the originally proposed architecture. This is the standard prototype that In-N-Out proposes. As you can see, it's white stucco, relatively simple lines with the corporate logo. This is the other elevations. That's the drive-through facility on the upper. On the upper picture, the lower picture is looking from the Caltrans property to the drive-in facility. Staff was concerned about that this is an entryway project and thought that better architectural examples could be put in place here. In-N-Out was very cooperative in working with us to work out some changes to the project. As you can see here, there is now instead of white stucco, it's a warmer buff-colored. There's some stone facade treatments on the bottom of the project. They added some arch elements. They added some dark contrasting trims around the windows, doors, and the roof lines. And there are some what they call wood eave outriggers along the tower elements at the top. Those towers are approximately 28 feet tall. Oops. Here's the other elevation. Again, this is the drive-through. As you can see, they've added more trim and archways to the project. Staff supports these architectural modifications, and we think that this would provide a more attractive architectural style as people enter the city. Landscaping, there is, again, this is an acre site, so it's hard to see, but I can tell you that there is 9,100 square feet of landscaping, which is about 20% of the site. The city's zoning ordinance requirements is for 15%. It's got a variety of palm shrubs and ground cover. Additionally, about 1,680 square feet of landscaping is on the public right-of-way, which includes some shade trees. And here's an illustration of the shade and palm trees in a parking lot and the North Coast Highway frontage. Staff has analyzed this project. It meets all downtown zoning ordinance development standards and all applicable local coastal program policies as outlined in Exhibit 1 of your staff report. I do want to talk about the pole sign a little bit. There's an existing Carol's pole sign, as you can see it here. It's 34 feet tall, it's 8 by 12. This is a non-conforming sign. In-N-Out proposes to have a sign of the same height and size, however moved about 110 feet further north. That'd be along the right-of-way to be behind the new building. While this is non-conforming, the zoning ordinance does allow relocations of signs if that sign does not become more non-conforming, and the sign remains the same height and size, so it does not become non-conforming. Typically, staff would not support maintaining a non-conforming sign. However, we do support this sign in this location for a couple reasons. One is that the city recently rezoned this property to a highway-oriented visitor-serving use, and we believe the sign is critical to the success of this property. The sign backs up into the Caltrans property, and actually the relocation of the sign will be partially obscured by the building, so actually the pole structure will be less visible than it is in this photo. So for that reason, and as part of the development plans, staff would support this relocated sign. However, this is part of the discretionary view of the development plan, the coastal program in front of the CDC, and you can accept or modify that recommendation as you see fit. This would be the pole sign at a different location. In conclusion, I'll say the project, staff believes the project would enhance the property as well as the neighborhood. We think with this architectural style and this use that I think would be very popular. It complies with the Oceanside downtown zoning ordinance development standards and regulations. It complies with all applicable local coastal program goals, policies, and objectives for this area. And we think that this use will help promote commercial activity on the site, which is, we think, an underperforming restaurant, and I think will provide an enhanced sales tax base for the city as well. I'd also like to add that the Downtown Advisory Committee considered this project at their December 3rd meeting and unanimously recommended that the CDC approve the coastal permit and the development plan. So staff recommendation is that the Community Development Commission adopt a resolution approving a development plan and rather a coastal permit for the construction of a new drive-through restaurant located at 936 North Coast Highway. That concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any other questions. I can tell you that Dr. Copeland, the owner of the land, is here, as well as various members of the In-N-Out Burger restaurant team are here as well.
Thank you, sir. You're up to the sidebar, and we'll go from there. And Mr. Clerk.
This time the applicant may come forward.
Good evening. Thank you for coming down. Might adjust that mic a little because you're so tall.
Good evening, Mayor Wood, Deputy Mayor Lowry, esteemed council members, and staff representatives. Thank you, John, for the presentation. I'm not going to add a whole lot to that. My name is Jim Lockington. I'm the project manager for In-N-Out Burgers, and I have just a few brief comments. After that, I'll answer your questions. So In-N-Out is thrilled to be here tonight to present this restaurant. We're very excited. This is an excellent freeway location, and we look forward to serving your community for many years to come. To get to tonight's hearing, we worked closely with city staff and department leaders in numerous departments since early this year. We commend the city on the professionalism, the courteousness, and the enthusiasm of all the staff that have worked on this project with us. The city has a terrific and knowledgeable staff. So In-N-Out Burgers, we support the staff recommendation, we support the conditions of approval, and we ask for your approval vote to allow us to proceed with this restaurant. That's really all I have, so if you have any questions, I'm here to answer questions. We've also got members of our development consultant team here as well.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
This is a public hearing item. Any other members of the public wishing to speak on this specific item may come forward to address the council for 3 minutes.
Hey, Doc, come on down.
I'm Stephen. My mother and dad have come here many times since 1973 or 1974 when they bought the land under what was a Bob's Big Boy restaurant. My mother is alive at age 87, and we are happy that we were able to attract a popular tenant for these times. I think most of the In-N-Out sites, or all the In-N-Out sites we've visited, are clean and nicely run, and that it is a wholesome use of the land in this community. We're most appreciative of the devotion of Mr. Helmer for seeing us through all the aspects of this project, and of the city staff. We are so grateful for Marty and Fred and William. Thank you for being here and leading us through the easement process. And we've tried to incorporate Mr. Gibson's advice on making it a more attractive individual store for this community, a little different than the standard facade of In-N-Out throughout the state. So we hope it'll improve the area and be a nice project, and thank you for considering this.
Thank you very much.
If any other members of the public wish to speak on this item, then they come forward this time.
Mr. Clerk, I see none, so I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and come back to the council. Start off with Councilmember Kern, please.
Thank you. I'm going to move approval for this, but I have
I'll second.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I have a couple questions. One is kind of mundane. Usually In-N-Out has those distinctive cross palm trees. Where are those going to be? And I see the applicant coming down here right away, so I was looking on the thing. I don't know exactly where that's going to be. Oh, okay. Another PowerPoint. I told Mr. Helmer, once you get to 6 PowerPoint slides, my attention span drops off. So. I see the palette. I just wanted to know, where are those iconic trees going to be? You're going to have to talk so people at home can understand where they're going to be. And identify yourself.
I'm Brandon Junior with IBG, landscape architect and the landscape architect of the project.
Okay.
Show you a picture here, maybe easier to find.
Okay.
It's not well. Crosswalk will be in this location here. I showed it in the demo center. And that will be the most visible around down the street.
Good, because they're kind of iconic. I know along the 76 that you can see them from the 76. I guess they're going to be visible from the freeway too. Is that? Well, they're more going to be Coast Highway.
Yeah, they'll be visible from Coast Highway, probably not very visible from the freeway because we're actually going to be grading the site down a little bit at the rear. The site right now from Coast Highway...
You're going to have to talk closer to the mic so people at home can
The site from Coast Highway right away back to the freeway fence, it slopes up about 6 feet. It's hard to see, but if you look at it, you'll notice it. We're taking that grade down, which is actually going to probably make the restaurant itself a little less visible to people on the freeway.
Okay, and then I guess my last question is timeline. Obviously, I think we're probably going to approve this tonight. When could they're pretty standard drawings.
Assuming approval tonight, we're starting the construction documents tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
We'll be in probably the first quarter, maybe about Valentine's Day. We'll be submitting first plan check to staff, and as long as it takes to get through staff approval for permits, we'll start construction as soon as we get our permit approvals through staff. We're hoping that this will be a October or November store opening at worst.
Okay, so the existing restaurant is scheduled to close as soon as you have the permit approval?
The existing restaurant will close under the terms of the lease. I can't recall the exact term, but it's going to continue operating because it's earning income.
Did you want to answer that question? You have to come to the mic to answer the question, otherwise the people at home can't hear the answer.
The lease states that they will leave with 60 days notice from us to exit the property. We did not want to have a vacant property and thought it'd be better that activity take place there. So Caros is committed to keeping the store open, but will leave if these plans are passed within 60 days.
And then hours of operation, it's a 24-hour drive-through?
No, the hours of operation are 10 a.m. until 1:30 a.m.
Okay, all right. So there's hope. You can go late night, Jack. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a couple of questions. I'm very happy that In-N-Out Burger has decided that this is a great spot because we think it's a great spot for In-N-Out Burger. Part of our visioning process, we've been looking at Coast Highway, trying to figure out how to make improvements and make it more, make it busier. And that's not just by motor, but also pedestrian and bicycle. So my question is basically, how is this pedestrian and bicycle friendly?
Well, we do have bicycle lockers and bicycle parking. The right-of-way is going to be improved. The existing curb will likely remain, but the sidewalk is going to be widened. I believe it's, including the face of curb, I believe it's 4.5 feet right now. It'll be 5 feet total with a brand-new sidewalk, the entire width of the property.
Great, and so and I was looking at the photos also in the staff report, or not the photos, but the diagrams. So the door, I mean, it's obvious about how to get there by car, but the door will be somewhere like in the middle of the building. Is that
the door on the west or front elevation facing Coast Highway is fairly well centered, correct?
Yes. Okay. All right. And is the dining areas around, like on both sides?
Yeah, let me see if I can not wreck John's. Yeah. Okay. All right, so the way the floor plan is oriented, the bottom of the page is the elevation that'll face Coast Highway. So that's the main entrance door with the double doors you see near the center. There's another entrance on the left side of the dining room as well. That would be the north-facing elevation.
Wait, I'm sorry. Where's the dining? Is that in the back? The tables, outdoor dining?
Outdoor dining? Let me show you on the...
Sorry, I thought it was in the front.
Okay. Oh, other one? Okay, so if you're, it's kind of hard to see, but if you look at the in and out.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So this is the center of the restaurant. This is the outdoor dining right here.
Oh, so it's in the back.
No, it's in the front.
Oh.
Remember the bottom of the diagonal.
Oh, yeah.
Both coasts.
Okay, yes. So we'll still be able to look out
Yes,
to Coast Highway.
absolutely. Yeah, we'll have a nice view.
Got a lot of people watching, especially on the summertime, a lot of people like to go out walking and,
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah.
CEO.
You can? The statement from Stephen was you could see the ocean from out there, so great. All right. Well, thank you. Those are all my questions, so I'll be supporting the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you. The permitting will be quick, won't it? Mr. Jepson?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think it's already issued. In anticipation of the vote.
It's ironic that the big boy was there before. That was date night for my wife and I at Bob's Big Boy 50 years ago, or 47 years ago. Could we get a statue of a big boy like me or Steve out in front? I mean, I eat there often enough that it would be only fair. Have you ever eaten at In-N-Out? I mean, because that is a great burger, animal style. You should try it, Chuck.
Look, I'm going to approve this.
Okay. Holy smokes.
Works for us.
This is a great addition. We couldn't ask for anything better on that piece of property. I think it's going to fall into place. And you're worried about seeing the cross palms. They'll be able to see the sign from the freeway pretty well right there, and I think that's. I'm excited for all the people downtown. I mean, they'll be walking from all over the place, and especially the projects right across the street. Sooner or later, that hotel across the street's going to change completely. You might even get some customers out of the purple church there. So anyway, thank you.
Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. So we'll go to 29 and then 30 for
Yes.
the city.
Item number 29 is an introduction of an ordinance amending Oceanside City Code, Section 2.1.65, to make the deputy mayoral position a mayoral appointment, subject to council confirmation, and adoption of a resolution repealing council policy 100-42, deleting it in its entirety.
Thank you, Mr. Mullins.
Mayor and Council, I don't know if you need a report. You've already discussed and debated this at your last meeting, so I was directed to come forward with the implementing ordinance. You have a council policy on the deputy mayor position as well, so that would become moot with the new ordinance, so I've proposed to repeal it. As you know, if adopted, this would make the deputy mayor position subject to mayoral appointment with council ratification. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Public?
No public on this.
Thank you, back Councilmember Sanchez.
Move approval.
Do I have a second? Thank you.
I need the title.
Go ahead.
This is the introduction of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside amending Chapter 2, Article 1, Section 2.1.65 of the Oceanside City Code to make the deputy mayor position a mayoral appointment subject to council confirmation. You have a resolution as well, which is part of the motion, I assume, but I don't need to title that.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you. I just want to vote my opposition here. This does mean if the mayor doesn't like you, You may never get a chance to be the deputy mayor who runs the city. And I think that's a shame that some people may never get to be deputy mayor in the future. So I would suspect this will be changed again someday. Thank you.
Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-1. Mr. Feller, no.
Mr. Bowman, 30.
Yes, item number 30 is adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 40 of the Oceanside City.
He can do it.
Yeah, you've already introduced this. This is adoption of an ordinance of the City of Oceanside amending Chapter 40 of the Oceanside City Code relating to urban runoff and discharge control regulations.
Public?
Yes, Jennifer Tabanico. I don't see her.
Currently not here. Back to the council. Mr. Kern?
Move approval, or move adoption, or whatever the city attorney said.
Second? You have a second, right? Yes, thank you. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Mr. Clerk, have we done it except council reports?
Yes.
We'll go with those.
Mayor Wood.
Thank you. For me, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, be safe out there. The weather's been a little cool and wet, but we can use the rain and the water in Southern California. I'm going back to the East Coast to the terrible weather for Christmas, see my family and grandkids. You all be safe, and I want you to know I really do appreciate the change and the voting. It made things a lot nicer for me, and I do appreciate the people that were involved. From my heart to you, thank you I appreciate that. Nothing else except have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas, and we'll see you next year. That's all I have.
Deputy Mayor Lowry.
Well, I want to express that my entire two council meetings and one council workshop have been incredibly fruitful. I had a lot of fun and got to do a lot of homework. So I want to congratulate all the people who work to make this possible. That's the staff, all of our family members, and the council members themselves. I think it's really important that the community realize that we have a lot going on up here, that we make a lot of decisions that affect everybody. And I hope that everyone does have a lot of great holidays. And I do want to report on my meeting at Sandag. Very first week I was on city council. The mayor is our representative on Sandag, which is the San Diego Association of Governments. They control hundreds of millions of dollars of our money. And the mayor couldn't go, Councilmember Sanchez couldn't go, so I went, and we had a really great issue to decide at the meeting. It was a single agenda item. We decided to carry on with a lawsuit, the third lawsuit against the state of California. It's a technical question about whether or not this Sandag is in compliance with the Regional Transportation Plan for 2050. There were 21 voting members there. I was the only one who voted no, please, no further lawsuits. We've already lost 2. So, anyway, that was a great meeting. Love to be there. Hope everyone enjoys the holidays and New Year's, and please be safe, don't overeat. Thank you.
Councilmember Feller.
Thank you. We did have a council workshop on masonry, unreinforced masonry buildings, and I think that we probably helped, but maybe hurt some of our businesses by going forward with that. It is what it is at this point. There's a candlelight vigil this Saturday for Officer Dan Bessent and Tony Zapatella at 6. And prior to that, there's a memorial run starting at Golden Arthur down to the police station. I do want to honor, we went long in our closed session today, but I want to honor 4 people that'll be out of here, retiring, that have been very strong employees for the city. John Anderson, Joe Betancourt, John Guthrie up in Zach's office, and Carol Horinda over in Human Resources, and they're all retiring. And those are all people that have been here all my 14 years on the council, and I appreciate their service to the community. I did want to mention one other thing, and that was New Venture Church served 1,000 senior, military, homeless, needy meals on November 23rd over at the Senior Center on Country Club. They gave haircuts, and it's really what churches are to do. Government's not supposed to be in charge of that kind of thing. And this church, New Venture Church, Sean Mitchell and his whole fellowship really took the bull by the horns out there, and that's a great tribute to the churches in Oceanside. And I just want to wish happy birthday to Leah, who is this Friday, and Andrew, who's the next Friday, and we just had a birthday last week for Grace, who was turned 9. And everybody's growing. Thank you. Have a Merry Christmas.
Councilmember Kern.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Two things, actually, maybe three, two that are related. One, I attended the swearing in of the new board of Tri-City Hospital, which is our largest employer, so they're up and running and and actually I'm kind of grateful that the people got elected, the stability of the board, because it's very important for us to have a hospital that has some stability going forward, and Tim Moran's doing a great job over there putting that hospital on a sound footing now that we're past the election season and some of those other things. I did attend the dedication of Oceanside High football stadium to John Carroll, which was pretty emotional, and everybody in the staff and his players and past players and school board members and alumni showed up to do that. And I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of the whole council, wishing Oceanside High good luck against Folsom Friday in Carson. Friday at 8 o'clock at StubHub Stadium in Carson. So that two undefeated teams, Folsom from the North State, and obviously Oceanside from San Diego region. So it sounds like it's going to be a very good game. My understanding, reading some of the clipping stuff, that it's going to be a very high-scoring game. I guess Folsom has a Division I quarterback that it's going to Washington, I think. So it's going to be an interesting game. So anyway, I'm sure on behalf of the council, everybody here hopes they do well in Carson. So, but other than that, everybody have a great holiday. Have a Merry Christmas, and drive safe. I mean, I know we've had some weather out here in the last few days, and the accident rate in Oceanside and throughout the county has gone up because of the rain. So just be more cautious out there. It sounds like we're going to get one storm after the other in the next couple of weeks. So anyway, thank you.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you. I also attended several community events, including at Alderma Park. You've got talent, lots of talent in those kids. Wow, pretty amazing. I also went to from kids to senior. I went to a senior ball. Stopped by the Beach Community Center, and for $10 they had a pasta dinner. They had a live band. And I sat there, and I think I learned a thing or two about ballroom dancing. But my gosh, we've got some seniors who know how to kick it on the dance floor. Some wonderful ballroom dancing. I spent about 3 weeks at Tri-City Hospital, about 5 hours a day. So I think I know a thing or two about Tri-City Hospital now. Wonderful doctors, wonderful nursing staff, phenomenal. But for them, I know, and they're the reason why my dad is home now, enjoying Tri-City Home Care. Fantastic nursing staff, fantastic speech therapist and physical therapist. Fantastic team, this Tri-City Home Care. This this is our Christmas present for our family, is that my dad is home, and every day he gets a little better, and so that's our Christmas present. But for some, I know, for some people, this is a joyous time, and I think about my 3 great nephews, ages 1 to 5, and then for some folks, and you know, to see the wonder of Christmas in their eyes, fantastic. And then for some other folks, maybe this is more of a trying time, a challenging time, and just want to put it out there that you are loved, and this is a great city of neighbors that really care about each other, and I just feel blessed to have not only my family here, a dad being here since the 30s, but all the folks that live in Oceanside, whether you've lived here a long time or just come to know Oceanside, come here and decide to live here because you think this is a great place. Lots of really fantastic things happening by small businesses, entrepreneurs. We're getting there. And I just want to wish everybody a fantastic holiday season and Happy New Year. Thank you.
If I may, something different. As a famous joke, we'll see you next year, which is not that far off, but could I have some closing comments from our city clerk and our city treasurer, your elected officials? Please say a few words for the holiday season. We'll be gone.
By all means, thank you. First and foremost, a wonderful year in City Clerk's Department and the council as a whole. We have an incredible staff who's dedicated and determined to serving the public, so incredibly blessed by them. John Guthrie, who's retiring this following week. Going to miss him, but he's a wonderful individual. And most of all, just hope that the residents of Oceanside have a blessed season, spending their time with their friends and family, and wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, just a time to be together with friends and family in the upcoming New Year.
Please, Gary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity. It was 4 years ago next week that this council selected me to be your treasurer, and let me tell you, I've enjoyed it. It was a challenge at first for all of us because financial conditions were tough. But I'll tell you, in the last few years, we've really turned it around, and we're doing very, very well. And I'm proud to be a part of this city and this council in my own little way. Just seeing the progress we've done in the last 4 years has been absolutely commendable. I want to wish everyone the happiest of holidays, Merry Christmas, and God willing, we'll see you all back here next year. Thank you.
Could I have the same from our city attorney and city manager? Say a few words to the wonderful people that you represent, please.
I'll go after Steve. Go ahead, Steve. I'd just like to remind people the reason for the season. Thank you. I'd just like to remind people of the reason for this season. I hope that all have a Merry Christmas and a blessed Hanukkah. Thank you.
No, not sue, sue, sue. Defend, defend, defend. I just want to thank the council for the support of my office and thank the attorneys and the staff in my office that work largely anonymously every day, that do great work on behalf of the city, defending the city, work long hours, and I want to thank them for all the work that they've given to the citizens of the city. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy
With that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much. Be safe, and then we'll again readjourn and come back on January the 7th, 2015, 3:30 p.m. at this location. Good night. Be safe.
Just sitting on my